Good evening. Tracy Barry is on assignment. For the first time in Oregon's history, state employees are on strike. When the midnight deadline passed, there was still no contract for the 16,500-member union, Oregon Public Employees. Casey Cowan is live at the state hospital, one place affected by the walkout. Casey, has the state negotiator been able to convince both sides to come back to the bargaining table?
Yes, Pete, we just heard this afternoon from state negotiator John Vail. He called to tell me that he was able to convince both the state and the union to agree to go back to the bargaining table. That will happen Friday morning at 10 o'clock. But that, of course, doesn't mean that the end of the strike is at hand, because both the union and the state have very strict agendas on what they want in a contract.
The State Revenue Office was targeted by OPEU members for an early morning picket. They want other state employees and anyone passing by to know that they think the state's offer of a 3% wage increase isn't enough. Although there are other issues on the table, such as workload, seniority during layoffs, and health insurance, for these employees, it comes down to their paychecks.
We're living from paycheck to paycheck, and if they take any more deductions out, I can't afford it. And I'd like a pay raise, too. Seems like everybody else gets one, but the workers do all the work.
When negotiations broke down Tuesday afternoon, it was chiefly because the state refused to budge from its offer of 3% increases, and the union refused to come down from its request for 4.5% increases. Executive Director Fred Miller pointed out that 6 other unions have already negotiated contracts with the state, and none was above 3%.
Our economy is recovering. We're certainly not recovered. We're working hard at that. In our case, we just cannot get the kind of money to support that salary increase that's appreciably above what other people consider to be a fair and a reasonable settlement.
And Governor Goldschmidt said he couldn't justify giving the state employees more money. So many other Oregonians have had to take rollbacks.
The taxpayers pay my salary. They pay everybody in the state government. There are 1,200,000 of them out there going over, and we're collecting their taxes, and it's our responsibility to figure out how to spend the money.
The news conference was interrupted by striking workers who filled the governor's outer office to acknowledge the protesters as he left the room.
But the governor does acknowledge that the strike will undoubtedly disrupt state business, and there will be some inconvenience to the public. Now, there was probably some of that occurring today, as hundreds of workers did not go on the job. But it wasn't a massive walkout by all 16,000 state employees. We have some statistics that were released by the executive department. A survey they did. The 2 areas hardest hit were the state hospitals targeted by the union. Damaged hospitals had 92% of their strikeable employees walk out. The state mental hospital had 68% walkout. Another area of government targeted was the Department of Revenue. 37% didn't show up there. Next highest was the Corrections Division. 30% didn't show up. It had 10% of its strikeable employees absent. Some departments with high attendance included the Employment Division, with only 9% missing, and the Treasury Department with its absentee rate of 3%. Now, the union says that it thinks this list of attendance rates from the executive department is, well, some also say that the numbers game is not the way to really judge the merit of the strike and the effectiveness of it. What is the way to judge the strike? Well, they do have quite a sophisticated strike strategy, and Walden Kirsch has been looking into that.
You can't afford your lousy deal!
Strikers began the day with a high decibel demonstration on the interstate bridge. Before the workday had even begun, tens of thousands of commuters found they were heading for Oregon strike territory, and the state labor force seemingly proud to be out.
Long faces, droopy faces. Oh, we're going to win this.
I have nothing to lose and all to gain.
But appearances there on the bridge were deceptive. In the city of Portland, there were no union-sponsored walkouts. OPEU members were told by their leadership to report for work as usual. State-hired security guards patrolled some offices, but again, in the state's biggest, no pickets, no signs, no work stoppage.
We feel that this is the best way to financially